Welcome to the Daily Journal's Prep Focus on Football. I'm senior sports writer Tim Ahrens. Across from me, the man, the myth, the authority on high school football, Steve Susi. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Are you feeling better this week? I know last week you were a little under the weather.
Yeah, feeling a little better. Also feeling a little bit better about my pick percentage this week.
Well, you should because both you and I were 12-1, led the staff, and just showed our dominance.
Well, I was suppose in my case it's the cream rising to the top. I don't know what happened with you.
Well, I've always been good,
Oh.
so I don't have to rise anymore. I'm at the top right now. So, okay, let's take a look at this week's games. Rich East at Kankakee will be our first one.
Well, Kankakee had some interesting things happen to him over the last couple of weeks, and this game used to have a lot more marquee value than in this season. Basically, Kankakee has struggled to maintain consistency. Rich East has done the same, so it's going to be hard to figure out which one of these teams wants to keep their playoff hopes alive.
And who are you going to go with in this game?
I'm going to go with Kankakee. I think last week's Creek game said a lot about their abilities, even though they didn't win the game.
Right. I will also take Kankakee pretty much for the same reason. The Creek, I think, is the cream of that conference, and they played them pretty close. Next, Thornwood at Bradley Bourbonnais. Bradley seems to play all these Thorn teams, and how are they going to fare against Thornwood?
They probably won't have to prick any thorns out of their respective paws after this one. Thornwood's a little bit better this year, but they're not quite at the level of Bradley Bourbonnais. It would surprise me if this was much of a contest.
So you're taking Bradley?
Yes.
I will also take Bradley. Our other city team, Bishop McNamara, will be traveling to Chicago to play De La Salle.
Yeah, Chicago De La Salle was the prohibitive favorite to win the Chicago Catholic League White, but they've had quite a few problems with injuries and other incidents on the team. So De La Salle's struggle. They're 2-3 right now, and I would have to say McNamara is probably a slight favorite going into this game, and McNamara is certainly hoping to win it because it would put them one step closer to a Catholic League championship.
And your pick?
I'm going to go off the board here a little bit. I'm going to go with De La Salle. I think they're still a pretty talented team. They just haven't had things break their way, and last year they handled Mac pretty easily, and a lot of those same players returned.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the Irish, and it's just because I feel like taking the Irish. Okay, let's move over to the Interstate 8 Large Conference. Herscher will be going to Coal City, and probably a marquee matchup in that conference.
Yeah, a big Interstate 8 game for Herscher and Coal City. Both are trying to hold on to hopes for winning the conference championship here. Both need the game in regards to playoffs. They both have remaining games left that would make it difficult for them to make the playoffs if they don't get it. They don't keep winning. So I'm going to go with Herscher here, even though they've had problems beating Coal City in the past seasons.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I think I'm going to take Herscher here and see what happens, I guess. Our last game that we'll look closely at is a Sangamon Valley Conference game between Momence and Iroquois West.
Impressive effort last week from Momence. It was my first chance to get to see them last week in their win over Watseka, and they show some real skills on offense and defense. So the Redskins are the favorite here, trying to stay undefeated in the Sangamon Valley Conference, where all eyes are pointing towards that Week 9 game between Central and Momence, which looks like it'll be for the Sangamon Valley Conference title.
So you're taking Momence?
I'm going to go with Momence.
I will also go with Momence. However, if you get down to Gilman, pork chop sandwich. You got to eat them. They're great. All right, it's time for our 2-minute drill. The rest of the games on the schedule, I'll tell you the game. You tell me who you think is going to win and maybe a quick reason why. Dwight at Wilmington.
Wilmington, the Wildcats are ranked second in Class 3A for a reason. They're pretty darn good.
I will also take Wilmington. Really intriguing game here, Manteno at Sandwich.
Yeah, a tough game for Manteno. They need this to get back to the 500 mark. Sandwich hasn't lost yet, so I'm going off the board. I'm driving around the road a little bit this week. I'm going to stick with the Panthers.
Wow, I'm going to go opposite of you and go with Sandwich. Maybe because I like to eat. Next will be Lyle at Reed Custer.
Lyle's played a little bit better recently. I'm going to go with Lyle in this one.
I also going with Lyle. They took Wilmington to overtime.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so they're playing pretty well. Plano at Piatone.
Basically another tough I-8 game for both teams. I'm going to go with Plano here. I expect it to be a low-scoring defensive battle.
I will also take Plano, but I wish they would put this game a little closer to Halloween, Reapers, Devils, that sort of thing. But Watseka at Tremont.
Tremont's a tough Heart of Illinois Conference team, and Watseka right now is in the midst of some struggles, so I'm going to go with Tremont.
Tremont also here. Years ago, back when I played football, Paxton at Central was a big Wauseka Conference matchup. Now it's a Sangamon Valley matchup, and who's going to win it?
Back when you played football, they wear leather helmets then?
Leather helmets, and most of us didn't have any teeth.
Oh, well, at least in this particular game where they're wearing non-leather helmets, Central looks like the overwhelming favorite here. They've been explosive offensively the last couple of weeks, and I'd expect them to continue that trend against Paxton.
Yeah, I will take the comments. Also, in our last game, Georgetown Ridge Farm at Milford.
The Vermilion Valley Conference hasn't been real friendly to Milford so far this season, and I would expect that trend to continue with Georgetown. I'm going to take Georgetown.
I will also take Georgetown. You know, Milford had their good season last year and just not able to keep it up. So the athlete of the week this week was who?
We're going to go with Kyle Frake from Central. You're fond of describing all-around efforts as did everything but drive the bus. I'm not sure if Kyle drove the bus last week, but he did pretty much everything else. Scored 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns, and had a punt return touchdown. So a way too much Kyle Frake last week for St. Thomas More, and I would expect they're hoping for continued success from him as well as the rest of the team.
Was that game in Clifton or Champaign?
I'm not sure actually where that game was.
Well, I think it was in Champaign, so he might have drove the bus home.
Awesome.
Maybe you drove it there too. So, okay, where are you going to be this weekend?
I'm going to be out at Coal City watching that I-8 showdown between Herscher and Coal City.
Very good. And no Saturday games this weekend.
No Saturday games, all Fridays.
So I guess no one can come down and give you popcorn on Saturday. So, okay, that's going to wrap it up for week 6 already. I can't believe it's week 6. But be sure to grab Thursday's newspaper and look in the sports section for the Prep Focus. What we have there is team records, all the staff picks and notebook items. And on Friday, you can catch volleyball stats and swimming stats, other sports in the fall season. And I believe that's going to wrap it up. So we'll see you on the sidelines.